Hello, and welcome to One Cool Thing, our occasional show at PC Mag where we show off a cool or interesting gadget that we've been testing out in the lab or in all of our labs at home these days. And that thing for this One Cool Thing is the surprise, the new Dell XPS 13 laptop, which is updated very slightly for spring 2021. And my colleague Matt Buzzy will share exactly what Dell has done to add some new pizzazz to this perennial editor's choice winner.
Yes, your surprise was a bit sarcastic because this is one that we see quite a bit, the Dell XPS 13. Much like a MacBook, it is the go-to sort of annual update machine. That's their go-to ultra-portable for general use. Premium. It is, it's a premium laptop. It feels great. The build quality is good. We do love it every time, but the base build quality, most editions does not change that much every few years. Of course, it's due for a redesign. The main feature updated on this particular model is an OLED display, which should be really literally eye-catching and head-turning for a lot of people out there.
So the OLED, adding OLED to laptops has been a big thing over the past, say, 2 to 3 years. Many other models have got OLED. To me, the key benefit of an OLED screen is those brilliant colors, like the really high contrast ratio. But in many of the models that I've personally reviewed, it's somewhat limiting in terms of the screen resolution. You might not be able to get 4K or things like that. So what is Dell offering here?
Yeah, so there is a strictly UHD plus version of this as well, but they are referring to this as 3.5K. The exact resolution, I believe, is 3456 by 2160. For those who are counting pixels, which for all intents and purposes, it'll look like a 4K screen. It looks brilliant. Unfortunately, obviously, that's not quite something that comes across on camera. Your screen can only display what your screen can display, and here it's even only at 50% or less brightness, so it doesn't blow out the camera lens here. But it is a super sharp and really incredible looking screen. And obviously, for those who are doing a little media editing, photo editing, anything like that, the super sharp resolution and the vibrant, accurate colors will be a big boon.
Now, what about touch support? Can you touch this thing?
Yep.
You can. Okay, I see that little bar there.
Telltale select
that there is touch support. That's one of the key things also that I sometimes have a question about OLED displays, is that that not all of them come with touch support. The notable one I'm thinking of is, it made kind of headlines earlier this month, was Samsung's Galaxy Book Pro, which has OLED, but only certain versions of it have the touchscreen, because they did what's called Super AMOLED, Super OLED, which is, instead of adding a touch capacitive layer on top of the screen, they actually build the touch support into the screen. I assume Dell doesn't do that, but it's great to see. I mean, a Windows laptop should have a touchscreen, in my opinion. It's great to see that it's there.
Yes, and we did mention the MacBook earlier. That is, of course, one downside to Apple's beloved laptop line. They have not yet, TBD, they have not yet gone the touchscreen route on their laptops, and it is unclear if they ever will. So yes, touch option, always good. Some people don't use it. Some people don't really get why you'd want to poke your screen. I get that. Every now and then, you just kind of feel like it instead of clicking the touchpad, especially on the convertible, which this is not. But it is a nice option to have.
Now, let's talk about some other things quickly, which you can also find out if you read our review. But for those of you who would rather listen than read, the things that stand out to me about the XPS 13, it's got the latest Tiger Lake processors. It looks great, available in multiple colors. It looks like you've got the white one there, but the keyboard to me is not great.
The keyboard is okay. You can read as Tom said, our review of the previous edition of this, which, screen aside and a slight processor change aside, in this particular unit, it is identical build wise. So yeah, the keyboard, it's a little mushier than it almost even looks like it's going to be. It's not my favorite typing experience. I would agree with you there. Overall, the build quality is super good. The touchpad's satisfying. It has this nice material on the keyboard deck. The lid is strong, feels high quality as well. So it's a really nicely built and compact small laptop, as you can see. But yeah, this is for all intents and purposes identical to the previous edition that we reviewed since the screen.
One of the other issues with the XPS 13, although it's not uncommon, is that there are very few ports, that you only get USB-C. Some versions in the past have come with an adapter in the box, which is very nice and something that Apple and other companies don't do. But just, you know, to take note that, like, you're buying a slim laptop, there's not a lot of room for plugging things in.
Yeah, this does come with an adapter that makes it a little easier to use. I think dongles are annoying to carry around in general, but they are more annoying if you have to also go buy them separately. So there's something to be said for including it in the box, because they know it's a bit inconvenient for a lot of users. So adding it in it is nice. This unit, I should mention, as configured with the Core i7 11th gen processor, 512 gigabyte SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, and of course the upgrade to the OLED display, which is a good several $100 increase. It's about $1,800 as configured. Not a cheap laptop by any means. It never was going to be. The same way you'd expect to spend on a nice MacBook. That's sort of the role that this plays as well.
So obviously the OLED screen has great contrast. It has the touch support, but you know, you're going to pay extra for it. So are there any other considerations that you might want to think about if you're going to spring for this OLED version of the XPS 13?
Yeah, so those things you mentioned are good. Eye test, it passes immediately. As I said, a head turner. Like it looks great in person. There's no getting around that. It does, in our testing, has proven to save battery, which is less important, obviously, in something like an OLED television set. But in a laptop is a pretty big deal, because people want their batteries, especially in a laptop that's super portable like this, to last a long time. OLED is that's not like a side benefit. That's like a main benefit to using the screen, is that it consumes less power and it saves your battery. When an OLED screen is displaying black pixels, those pixels are fully off, which also makes the blacks look better, but it also saves battery. A lot of the OLED laptops ship in dark mode by default, because the manufacturers know this, that it will lead to battery savings. So when your Windows Explorer files are up, those windows are dark, that saves battery. If you're watching a video that has a lot of black pixels, it's dark, that'll save battery. We ran our rundown tests on past OLED laptops during sort of the first wave of OLED screens, and we found real hours worth of savings by running dark mode or full screen color, some black on the side. Even raising the brightness when you're in dark mode versus the brightness, or raising or lowering the brightness in regular light mode, makes a much less of a difference in dark mode. So battery savings are real, simply by switching that one setting or keeping it on if they do ship it in dark mode, makes a real big battery impact. So that's kind of a cool passive benefit you get, again, especially in a laptop that you're going to want to take with you on the road.
Yeah, cool hack. Use dark mode on an OLED screen. I'll write that down.
Yeah, same, just like that. Black folders, saving batteries. Yeah, and it looks better, and it helps you save battery life as well.
Yeah, and ultimately, plenty of people want an OLED screen on the XPS 13. I'm sure now you can finally do it. You're going to have to pay extra, but you know, if you plan to keep it for a while, it might be a worthwhile purchase. And we will definitely have more on whether or not our final verdict on adding the OLED to the Dell XPS 13 at PCMag.com. Until then, thanks very much for being with us to watch this brief One Cool Thing, and we will have more to come with the next gadget that we review.